Deathscythe Hell. Hey again, Robert184, gundam.tk, the Deathscythe Hell. Well, that's all that's left of the plates, so now it's time to take a look at the parts before putting it all together. Here are the body parts, and you can see a separate foot and ankle unit. Of course, you're going to get the active cloak and the beam scissors, plus some extra manipulators and a small figure of Duo and an attachment for the action base. Starting at the bottom, you're going to be able to move the foot up and down here, and the toe is on a separate mount mechanism. It's actually made out of 3 different pieces, but it doesn't connect on very well and it feels a little bit loose. Double ball joint, as you can see here, for the ankles. The legs themselves are pretty much all gray, and you can see that the bend mechanism is very, very smooth. As the top part splits, everything slides down, and you're going to get a very nice 180 bend. The knee just pops up a little bit, as you can see it sliding down here. This is all white, so nothing spectacular, but very clean and simple, well-designed legs. For the waist section, I really found myself comparing it to a picture of the EW version just to see where they chose to put the different colors. So here you're going to have separate colors here. These are 2 different black parts, these are 2 different black parts, as are these. And then you're going to get gray parts up here. Otherwise, nothing fancy for the hip lock mechanism there. And then you have a clear part on the inside with a green sticker. But this comes across as looking pretty simple, but the black does look good when it's offset with the gray legs. The chest is simple and attractive because of that, and it's got just some gray parts here, black parts that you're going to slap on. The shoulders are going to pop out and be able to bend, so you're going to get good arm mobility. And I like the fact that this gray up here is different from the gray on the neck and down below. And these red parts, while a little bit tricky to put in, they pop out a fair bit and should provide just that little bit of color, which this thing otherwise is completely lacking. Something I always forget to talk about is that you are able to open the cockpit here and reveal a tiny Duo Maxwell. The arms have a good mix of colors, and starting with the shoulders, you're able to bend them around like this, and it's going to rotate here. You can see that that popped out a little bit. And on the EW version, these would be yellow, and they were different plates actually, or different parts actually. So here you've got again the double offset things, which really reminds me of what we saw in the waist section. In terms of mobility for the arm, you're able to bend it up here, let's call that 135. The wrists do not move independently, and these are fixed manipulators, so you're going to get 4 different sets of manipulator fingers that you can swap in and out, and this part actually fits on here fairly well. Again, it's good to see that they used multicolors. The top part here does have a slide mechanism. You just got to be careful that you don't separate the top part, and then it can move here, which you'll use when you put on the active cloak. Here's a close-up look of what really is called the beam scissors in Japanese, and it's nice that this isn't just one piece. You actually put on a few pieces here, here, and down at the bottom to complete this, and the blade fits in there very well. And if you've built the high-grade Gundam X, or the Double X, you'll notice that the big green, this one really seems expanded even over those, so you're going to get the good effect of size here. The most important part, though, is this big, plasticky-looking batarang, the active cloak. And it looks, hopefully we're going to have a pretty solid mount mechanism there. It's good that they put in these gray parts here so that if you do see it behind the head, it's got a little bit of color mixed into it. And then you're able to bend out these red parts all the way up like this on either side. But otherwise, it's solid black, except for a few gray parts on the back, but that's not a big issue. So now, what can it do in terms of gimmicks? Well, first of all, you can slide this part out, and you'll notice that this black part here is in the middle. Got to be a little bit careful, that didn't sound too good. But as it comes out here, you're able to bend this and this, which of course we're going to use when you put that around the Gundam to make him look all mysterious and shadowy. And then as you pop out this part, you're able to get this straight out, but you're also able to get it on a bend mechanism here, so you can bring the wings up to make it look even more intimidating as he leaps out of the shadows upon unsuspecting criminals. With the bottom parts fully pulled out and popped up properly, this is the kind of effect that you're going to get, and I have to say that that is one of the most impressive backpacks you'll ever see on a Gundam. Now with this middle section stuck back in, you're able to bend these down, and when you do that, you'll notice that it goes in here, and I was hoping that they'd include a lock mechanism, and they do, but it's quite interesting. You may be able to see here that there's a little slider part there that's offset, and it's a little tricky to get it just right, but when you do that, you're going to have a solid active cloak to hide the Deathscythe. The head overall is pretty solid, although there's a few nitpick points. First of all, on the side, these are going to be all big blocky red on the side and on the back there. So what I've done is, of course, just take my lining marker and go in there, trying to get the Adidas kind of effect. But if you want to be really pro, you'll go into the back there, which took a little bit of patience, so I pretty much gave up. Now, on the front, you've got the gray face mask, which doesn't have the best lining. The left and right side, for the lining, they didn't come across as being perfectly even, so you're going to have to smooth that out. And also, there's a bit of a gap between those two parts here on the vents, so you're going to have ink run through there if you're not careful. I also tried to put some ink here just on the V-fin, which of course is very unique for the Deathscythe, and I like that a lot. Yellow Vulcans is a big plus, and otherwise the seam shows, and I was having trouble. The whole head would sort of fall off sometimes. This red part is just clamped on the front very loosely, as is the gray face mask, as is this. So every once in a while, you're going to have to squeeze the head in just to make sure everything stays in place. Otherwise, you've got clear parts. You could have light piping if you choose, and seals if you don't. So looking at just the parts, I'm quite happy with it. You've got good mobility, everything goes together well. The colors, when you line them all up, look sharp. The only thing that I would be disappointed or wary of is that if I had built the EW version, they're pretty much just color swaps. There's hardly any other things other than the fact that these parts are orange and they jut out a little bit more. But otherwise, as I was building this, I was looking at a picture of the EW version, and they're pretty much identical. But it was very interesting for me to take a look at the plates to just see how did Bandai design this so that they can have the colors completely different on the front skirts, side skirts, etc. Because Bandai had to do a lot of engineering to build these both at the same time, and I think that they did a very good job. So if you've built only one, you're going to love the build. If you've built two, it'll come across as being really repetitive. But that's the build. How does it all stack up once you put it together? Stay tuned for the next part and check it out. As always, Robert184, gundam.tk. Let me know what you think of the kit or the video with a comment down below. Like and subscribe if you want, and see you next time. Thanks for watching. You know, I really want to have a go at throwing this.